When I reviewed the Disney Store toy lightsabers, several of you pointed out that I missed the green Luke Skywalker lightsaber that's only available in the parks. And as I dug deeper, I discovered Hasbro's Ultimate FX lightsaber line, which has some surprising parallels to the Disney Store line. So how well does that Luke Skywalker one stand up to the rest? And what's up with the Ultimate FX ones? Let's take a look. When we first looked at the Disney Store toy lightsaber line, I started the story in 2015 with the Rey, Kylo Ren, Yoda, and Vader lightsabers. But that's not where the story begins. In 2011, Hasbro's Ultimate FX line was the first toy lightsaber line to have LEDs embedded inside the blades, a feature that had previously been limited to the Master Replicas and Force FX lines. The Ultimate FX lightsabers included a 24-inch blade, plastic hilt, and character-themed lights and sounds. Since it was 2011, the majority of the sabers focused on prequels and Clone Wars characters, with a few classic series characters and just one sequel character at the very end of the line. In 2015, Hasbro phased out the Ultimate FX line at the same time that Disney introduced their own toy lightsaber line. I don't know the full story behind that change, but the two are so similar that I can only assume that Disney liked what Hasbro was doing enough that they negotiated to bring the line in-house, exclusive to Disney parks and the Disney Store. The Disney line included just 5 characters, rather than the 9 Hasbro had. They had the same 24-inch LED blades, on-off demo switches, and character-themed sounds. But they also upgraded the blades to colored day blades for more vibrant colors, added a vibrating clash effect, louder speakers, and some minor changes in the hilt designs. I'm not sure if the Luke saber being exclusive to the Disney parks started here or not, but I only ever saw the other 4 sabers in my local Disney store, so I'm assuming it was exclusive from day one. In 2020, Disney overhauled the line to add removable blades, mini CoverTech wheels, belt clips, and improved clash effects. But for some bizarre reason, the Luke saber is the only one to have not received these upgrades. In 2022, they added Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, and the Chandrila Starliner sabers to the line, and updated the Darth Vader to the new black packaging. And in 2023 so far, they've added Mace Windu and Rey's yellow lightsaber. But that Luke saber remains the only one to not have a removable blade version, and still be exclusive to the parks, never being sold in Shop Disney or the physical Disney stores. First, let's take a look at the Ultimate FX line. This will look very familiar to anybody who's seen one of the Disney ones. It's got the same type of plastic hilt, pretty good detail considering it's a toy lightsaber. Very much looks like the Luke's hilt. Obviously, the thin neck portion of it is not as thin as it should be, just because you need to be able to fit that 1-inch blade down the middle of it. It uses the control box as the activation switch, and it has the same off, demo mode, and on switch that you see in the Disney versions. It also has a triangular ring on the end, theoretically for attaching it to your belt. The biggest difference between these Ultimate FX ones and what we'll see in the Disney one is, of course, the blade, which on all of the lightsabers, regardless of what character, regardless of what color it's supposed to be, are all white. And it relies on the lights inside to give it the color. So when you light it up, there's green LEDs all up and down the blade that will give it its colors. The other drawback, of course, is that when it's off, it's white, regardless of whether you have the Darth Vader or the Luke or whichever one, they're all white. So, pretty great saber for 2011. Fast forward to 2015, and this is the Disney version. You'll see there's some slight differences in the hilt. The emitter portion is actually thicker than it was on the old version, which doesn't look quite as nice, but that gives it an extra feature that we'll talk about in a minute. The rest of the hilt has basically the same design. The control box is a bit smaller. It doesn't have the ring on the end. And they've moved the control box over to the side a little bit. But it's still that same off, demo mode, and on. On the old one, the demo mode looks like this. On, flash a couple times, and off. On the Disney one, you hear that? So it does on, clashes a couple times, and you hear that vibration feature. So I mentioned that the emitter is a little bit wider than it used to be. So that's because it needs a little bit of extra room to have a detector in there to be able to tell when the blade is going slightly to the side. So when it's on, It's got its normal buzz, but then if it detects that it's going to the side, it will do a clash and the entire hilt will vibrate. This is so that if you clash it down against something and hold it against it, it will have that effect as if you're struggling lightsaber against lightsaber. And that's how they do it, is with that little mechanism in there that detects it. So that's why they made the emitter a little bit thicker on these ones. Other than that, there really aren't that many differences between these. They all have little stickers that come off. The battery compartment is a little easier to get to on the new ones. On the old one, you had to kind of guess which screw you needed. It's actually this one that's really, really deep to get a screwdriver in there in order to take that battery compartment off. On this one, it's right here. It's very easy to get to. Pop that off. Either way, there's 3 AA batteries inside. As far as packaging, the old one came in that cardboard container that made it look very nice on the shelf and kept it nice and safe. The new one doesn't come with any packaging at all, since it's only available inside the parks, and they have them just on display so the kids can just pick them up and go. It does have, when you buy it, a sticker that goes from here down to about here that after you peel it off leaves a lot of sticky residue. I went over this for about 5 minutes with a Clorox rag and some soap and water, and it's still pretty sticky. So it's kind of a pain to get that off. But if you take some acetone or nail polish remover to it, it should come off. The real comparison that we want to make next is the blades. So obviously they've replaced the white blade with this green day blade. The main benefit of this is, regardless of what time of day it is, you can tell what lightsaber this is supposed to be on. It could have no batteries, you're just fine. If you're running around the parks during the day, that's a really great feature. And since that's where these are primarily sold, that is fantastic. But what about at night when they light up? The old one used as we mentioned, the green LEDs inside the white blade. The new one uses uncolored LEDs inside the green blade. Both look a little bit more bluish green in the video, I think, than they actually are. This one definitely looks more blue in the video than it actually does in live. They both look great. I think the newer one looks better. With the lights completely out, the old Hasbro one actually almost looks a little bit brighter, but in most day-to-day use cases, you're still going to get a slightly better experience from the new one than from the old one. But functionally, they're very, very close. But since this Luke one hasn't changed since it came out in 2005, the next question is, how does it stack up to the 2020 ones, and what would a removable blade version of this one look like? Since Luke's lightsaber is based on Obi-Wan's lightsaber, the new Obi-Wan lightsaber is probably the closest example we could get. The switch box is a little bit larger than it used to be. You've got a really nice, grenade grip. They definitely went a lot more overboard in details in the 2020 ones than they did in the 2015 ones. The thin neck portion particularly looks fantastic. It's actually thinner than it was even on the 2011 Hasbro ones. By making the top of the emitter a little bit fatter and, having most of the connection there, they actually slimmed that down a bit, and I think that looks really, really nice, which is great compared to the kind of thick, bulky one on there. So if they took this design, this color scheme, the design of Luke's, put into a form factor that looks very much like this, and of course, it would have that wonderful removable blade so that you could hang it on your belt by the belt clip. This would be a really, really fantastic saber. And since it's the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi, it's about time we get it. Come on, Disney, don't let me down. Finally, I want to answer a question that a lot of people have been asking on all of these toy lightsaber videos, which is, can you duel with it? Now, that depends on what you mean by dueling. These are toys, they are designed for kids. If it's just a couple of kids, bashing them around and having fights in the backyard, these are going to be great. If you have teenagers really hitting hard on them, or if you have adults trying to smack them against a tree or go full bore against one each other, yeah, they're not going to stand up great. Here's a photo a friend sent of some heavily used lightsabers she found at a Star Wars themed escape room. You can see where the LEDs have gone black from being banged against each other too much. But if you treat them gently and don't abuse them too much, they should last for years to come. So will we get a removable blade version of the Luke's lightsaber to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi? If we do, you can bet I'll tell you about it as soon as it hits the shelves. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.